Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Lead us from unreal to real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from the fear of death to the knowledge of immortality. Namaste to everyone. I take it a great privilege in welcoming our Secretary, Sri Asatkumar Mundraji, Principal Dr. Santosh Babu, Professor Venkatramanan Kanveer Hande, PG and Research Department of Mathematics, all the faculty members and my dear students for the 7 days National Virtual Faculty Development Program on promising success through inclusive development. We will start our inauguration session with Tamil Thai Varthu followed by college prayer.
Satyoratam Satyaparam Trisatyam Satyasya Yodim Nihitam Satye Satyasya Satyam Ruta Satya Netram Satyatmakam Swam Charanam Prapannaha Vani Gunam Kathade Shavano Kathayam Hasto Karmadu Manastava Padayornaha Mrityam Tirastava Nivasa Jagat Praname Srishtistatam Darshane Subhavattarunam Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Krishnaya Bhuta Karmane Rupanama Vidhetena Rupanama Vidhetena Jagat Kridati Goyataha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Deepa Jodi Param Jodi, Deepa Jodi Namostute. I request our Secretary, Principal, and Head of the Department to lighten the Kutvalas. Mr. Devika, Associate Professor, Indian Research Department of Mathematics.
The teacher doesn't like, they are not doing anything, they come, they attend and they go. Because I face this problem in my school. When my Hindi teacher and English teacher used to come to class without looking at the students, they will just see A plus B whole square is equal to A square plus B square plus 2AB minus C is equal to A, B square to B is equal to C. They will not look at the student, they will not use the whole 40 minutes over, they will whether bell goes or not, rings or not, 40 minutes बाद सूर्याचा अपना ये school नहीं रहता. So that school never developed and today the position of that school is zero. Rightly said, and that is why I think that this type of faculty development programs are most necessary in the present context where we have seen in last 1 year, COVID has given us a very best lesson that unless and until you keep yourself updated with the modern technology and you think forward, you will not be able to move an inch further, leave alone students. If you are not updated, you will not be able to update your students. And that is why these type of programs are necessary. I am very happy that these faculty development programs are being conducted and last about 2 years. And now we have made it that it should be a regular affair. It should be vouched by the management and then a proper actor. And that will speak on the performance of the teacher. That will speak how the teacher has kept herself or himself as per the demand of NAC and as per the requirement of students in the present day context, whatever the days. And that is how the teachers will be evaluated, their performance will be seen, and then only the other development in the life of the teacher, promotions, increments, everything will depend on all these things only. Principal has got a very good plan for all the teachers, and I think if we adhere to that even 70%, nobody can be teaching a small college. I wish all the best. Thank you.
program. It should be a minimum of 5 days, a maximum of 7 days. I think we have conducted today for 7 days. That too with a good topic like promising success to inclusive development. Before coming here only, always when I come to any program, before program only I used to think about the program because of my work pressure in the institution where we are working very hard in the last 7 criteria. In the morning we had a good discussion with all criteria heads with respect to that, and we found that we have crossed around 70 to 80% in the SSR preparation. So I was asking about inclusive education. I used to talk about the inclusive education only for the special children and special need people. Then only I saw the full topic success to inclusive development. Inclusive development essence. Accordingly, I think I can see all the topics which is covered by the experts. Like one is teaching and learning process. This is one of the parameters of NAC, where before teach we have to learn. If you are not able to learn, you could not teach. So how to learn and how to teach. Both things you are going to have an expert from in college. Like that, I can list all the topics which is given here where the experts are there, they are going to discuss. And I understand that more than 161 participants have been registered for this online conference. And I always used to say that though we have all technology and online, only the face-to-face method will give you a good impact on any education system. So that I want to have the inaugural and validity not in online, we want to have offline. As far as faculty is concerned, as of Vaishnav College is concerned, we are an efficient faculty. Only thing what we have to do is we have to tune them according to the present scenario. The tuning is very important to get a value education, or we want to have a quality education. And also we are moving towards the new dimension of educational system in which the teachers should teach, they have to do research, and they have to concentrate on extracurricular activities, and they should be oriented towards the society. All these parameters have been included in the development of the faculty. So we have to change the paradigms of the faculty in such a way that according to the few new trends coming up, which is nothing but the inclusive development. Inclusive development in the sense you have to develop yourself. If you are able to develop yourself, how to control your emotions, how to deliver the content in a right way, how to plan, how to have a good leadership quality. If you are able to develop all things to yourself, then it is very easy for you to teach the others. So before teach, before practice, before preach. That is more important. Where the teachers we have to practice before teach, before going further for teaching the students. I think with these small objectives, the department is conducting this faculty development program. Definitely, we'll be getting a good feedback. You know that we'll be getting a good feedback at the end of the day. So once again, I congratulate the department and also the management for providing all the platform for us to improve our skills. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I need Professor Venkat Ramanan, conveyor and head PG and Research Department of Mathematics, to give the welcome address.
Good afternoon to all.
kind of event is for the today's topic is about FDP on promising success through inclusive development. Already our secretary has implemented the concept of inclusive development at the institutional level. For the past few years, so he has developed in all aspects of the institution. Especially, he provides a lot of facilities for the infrastructure for the many of the departments, especially for the science departments too. Parallelly, our energetic principal recently introduced so many development activities and for NAC accreditation process. At the outset, I would like to thank our secretary and principal for the massive appointment of meritorious faculties for both teaching and non-teaching under aided stream, including the mathematics department. Basically, we are math people, but once we have decided to conduct a faculty development program, so based on the discussions with the principal, so we have to conduct the faculty development program in two aspects. One is for common and the other one is for subject oriented. So based on this common faculty development program on personality, or what would be? It's a hectic task to decide the topic itself. The topic should give the message to every faculty. And that's why we have decided to conduct the 7 days national level virtual faculty development program on promising success through inclusive development. What is this inclusive development? Actually, without a development in social sector, economical sector, or educational sector, we can't imagine the development of even at a higher education level, from out of the 63%, most probably around the research, towards the research oriented, 5 to 10% of the students will be succeeding. So that's why we are looking for this inclusive development. That is the cross-sectional development. Each and every student should acquire some knowledge, acquire some facilities, whatever he required to develop. There are so many barriers for this inclusive development. The barriers are maybe communal barriers, or gender barriers, or inequality in economy. These are the barriers. How to overcome these barriers for this inclusive development? The solution is promising success for this inclusive development. The speakers are ready to give the promise for this inclusive development. So I am also waiting, you are also waiting for how they are going to give the promise for this inclusive development. Actually, the word inclusive may be new to us, but this was introduced by actually 1,000 years before. Each and every human being in the olden days, sorry, that means in the age ones, want to reach the feet of Lord Almighty, to attain the feet of Almighty. For that, 1,000 years before, the Bhashyakara Swami Ramanuja, say only one word, Om Namo Narayana. The people from so many sectors approached Ramanujacharya. They asked, so yourself and your people are doing something and you have attained the feet of the God, but we are unable to reach their feet. So what is the solution? He said, this Om Namo Narayana is the only solution. So inclusiveness, collectively, so developing. So reaching the Almighty feet also is one thing. Apart from this, our former surpassing president APJ Abdul Kalam once, so he participated in one function. At that time, so he saw one child was crying. He asked him, why you are crying? I am unable to play with the children, with my friends. Since he was affected by polio, so he was not able to walk. So he used to do the calipers. The calipers are too weak. And that's why he is not able to walk properly. So after some sleepless nights, our president, the former president, found some caliper with weightless. So used the material of a rocket. The materials used for a rocket, the same material used for this caliper. So once the student feel happy. So that means without humanism, the development of science is not actually 100% not useful for the society. So everything should be based on the humanism only. Okay. And above all, I want to say something. Already, Abhay said, "Kakkai nandre, ichai puginum kakkai nandre." So motivate the students to read. So there are so many topics. I don't want to take much time. So these are a big topic, inclusive development. Okay. Finally, I would like to quote some few words. Progress is more plausibly judged by the reduction of deprivation than by the further enrichment of the opulence, said by the noble laureate Amartya Sen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the warm words of welcome. I now invite Professor Devika, Associate Professor, PG and Research Department of Mathematics, to give the overview of the faculty development program.
Honorable Shri Ashok Kumar Rudraji, respected Principal Dr. S. Santosh Babu, Convener and Head of the Department, Postgraduate and Research Department of Mathematics, Professor R. Venkatraman, eminent guests, heads of the departments of various disciplines of the Vaishnav College, and faculties of various departments. Good afternoon to all. It's my privilege to introduce today's 7 days national level virtual faculty development program on promising success through inclusive development and provide synopsis of this program's sessions and speakers. Inclusive development is a multidisciplinary approach implying social, ecological, and relational inclusiveness. In this faculty development program, we will see these dimensions through the experiences of our speakers who have designed, defined, and converting their inclusive development thoughts into executions. Our first session will focus on emphasizing importance of education that forms a strong foundation not just for individuals but also for the nation, a fortress that commands great respect and career. As pointed out by respected Abdul Kalam, education gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great. We have with us Professor Mala Sridhara, Head of the Department of Psychology from NMKRV, Bangalore, to enlighten us about education, a promising citadel. Professor has written several articles in magazines, and she is also advisory member for NMKRV. COVID pandemic has introduced us a new way of life, work and learning. Being online and connected has become need of the heart. Being online savvy has been once termed as status symbol, now has become a stress symbol. Dr. Kantimati, Associate Professor of English from SDMB Vaishnav College, will share with us her experience in handling and managing stress during online learning and teaching. She has specialized in socio-linguistics. She has several journal publications to her credit, especially on Tamil-English bilingual topics. On day 2 and 3, we will hear from dignitaries, much broader from science to spirituality and being successful. Food processing and technology has gained high significance in recent years. People have become conscious about organic, biodegradable, sustainable consumption and production, etc. Thanks to scientists, researchers, and environmentalists. One of the awareness created few years back in India about the contamination of lead in one of the packaged food has led to great revolution in bringing back better standards in food production. Thanks to Dr. Tuppali Venkatesh, who has created that much needed awareness in the society. Sir is Professor Emeritus, Department of Biochemistry and Biophysics, St. John's Medical College, Bangalore. We will hear from Sir about 10 commandments for faculty excellence of higher education system that will clarify several of our misconceptions on higher education system. India draws its strengths through its rich history of spirituality that is spread across its geography. While we think spirituality is focused on Almighty, there are saints who have proved that it's about learning life and way of living. Swami Desika, as a versatile personality, is not only master of Acharyas, but also a great poet, philosopher, logician, mathematician. We will learn more about his life as an art through Swami Sri Ananta Padmanabhacharya. Swamiji dedicates his life not only in guiding people through spiritual journeys, but also drives and participates actively in several social reforming activities in the society. Science and spirituality is often thought to be antonyms. Spiritual re-engineering brings these two thought processes closer, giving new dimensions, ideas, and outcomes. Ms. Rohini Chandramouli will give us insight on the topic. She is a certified examiner and a trainer with Cambridge University. She is a freelance trainer and consultant for corporates. With more than 35 years of teaching and training experience, she has served as a communication skills faculty member with various engineering and management colleges affiliated to Mumbai University. Mark Twain once said, "Good decision comes from experiences, and experiences come from making bad decisions." Decision-making skills and clarity in the decisions are key for successful career. Dr. S. Kalirajan, Deputy Dean, LNG Institute of Project Management, will share with us his views and experiences on this topic. Dr. Kalirajan has engineering and management post-graduation to his credit and has won awards in nuclear science and project management. On day 4 and 5, we will hear about dimensions beyond traditional education thinking. Academic institutes are no more seen as mere teaching institutes, but expectation of society is much beyond, that they prepare students for real life and work. This means the role of faculties will not only to teach, but to also be mentor and prepare them for challenges they will face in their future. Professor S. Suresh will share with us on his experience on topic, the new paradigm shift in role of faculties for ensuring student success in real life. Professor S. Suresh is visiting professor, HR, Law, Strategy and Marketing, and corporate trainer. Managing our own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others will help us in overcoming challenges and diffuse conflicts. Emotions makes individuals passionate about their preferences, combined with intelligence brings right intersection of heart and head. Ms. Annapurna A, entrepreneur, founder and CEO of Emotionatics and Company, will deep dive into this topic. Being HR thought leader, behavior assessor, emotional intelligence practitioner, she is also chairperson, Women Economic Empowerment Forum of Azoka, Karnataka. Classrooms are a collection of several hearts and heads, giving complex web of emotions and intelligence. Practicing emotional intelligence in classrooms is a key topic for both teachers and students. We will have Dr. Mohammad Abdul Jinnah, Associate Professor, Department of English, Jamal Mohammed College Trichy, sharing his thought process about this subject. He has written several articles on emotional intelligence, stress management, and various range of other topics. With the coronavirus COVID-19, there is no doubt we are rediscovering ourselves with new ways of learning and life, getting along, expressing concern, thinking, and occupying ourselves. Ms. S.S. Sita Lakshmi, certified IB curriculum developer, corporate trainer, will give us insight into this topic. On day 6, focus topics will be around teaching and thinking. With changes in technology, economy, socio-political environment, there is constant change, and this change enables us around learning new topics that keep evolving. The very fact this faculty development program is conducted is to instill this continuous learning, which is a key for teaching. Dr. B. Ganesan, Associate Professor, Department of English, A.M. Jain College, will share with us on the topic teaching as learning. We can't be both awesome and negative. We have to choose one. Impact of negative thinking. We have to choose one. Impact of negative thinking may be beyond an individual and may create a long-lasting perception that is difficult to remove in an individual career. Dr. S. Surendran, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Sociology, ST Hindu College, Nagarkoil, will share with us tips and guidance to handle and overcome negative thinking. On day 7, topics are dedicated towards leading and motivating. Often we think leadership as a position, but its action and willingness to lead defines the leadership qualities. They are developed while young, but keep evolving throughout our life. Dr. T.S. Prema, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Economics, D.G. Vaishnav College, Chennai, will provide us guidance in developing leadership qualities and nurturing them. Motivators are no different than you and me. So why do we read their books to motivate ourselves? And how do they write all of those things in their books? That is, where do they get their inspiration from? Who motivates the motivators? Let's learn from Dr. Murli Ganam, Head MA English, DG Vaishnav College, Chennai. It's going to be exciting and enlightening 7 days of 14 sessions with great minds sharing their experiences and thought process on inclusive development topics. I would like to sincerely thank them for their time and wishing everyone great learning experience. Thank you all. Thank you, ma'am. I now invite Dr. Jain Karthik, Associate Professor, Department of Mathematics, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. My first turn out to the Almighty for His blessing. My heartiest gratitude to various speakers of this 7-day program to have accepted and shared their part of day with us. It is indeed an honor to have such eminent speakers. I wish to express my gratitude to our Secretary, Shri Ashok Kumar Mundra, for providing us with all the necessary support. I would like to take this opportunity to place on record my hearty thanks to our principal, Dr. S. Santosh Babu, for the support and guidance he has extended in all our events and especially this. I would like to congratulate and thank our convener and head, Professor R. Venkatramanan, for conducting this faculty development program. We have been fortunate to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues who have happily conducted their assigned tasks. My sincere thanks to all technical staff for the smooth conduct of the event. I also thank our other departments for the support in providing us the venue and for the event coverage. Finally, I thank all the participants who have joined us to the program for their enthusiasm. Thank you.
ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಒಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆಯ್ತು. 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಆಯ್ತು.
We will move to the first session. I'd like to invite Dr. Sivaraman, Associate Professor, PG and Research Department of Mathematics, to introduce the resource person of today's session.
So good evening to all. I'm very happy to introduce the chief guest for the first session of the 7-day program. I'm happy to introduce Professor Mala Sridhara, an associate professor and head of the Department of Psychology, NMK RV College for Women, and she began her career as advertisement executive at Printers Mysore Limited, which is a group of Deccan Herald publication. And she is teaching psychology at NMK RV College since 1989. She was the Rotary Club's exchange ambassador to the US in 1999, and she was also the MMC coordinator for NAC at NMK RV in 2010. The great books reflect great people, and she has mentioned that she is interested in reading books. That means she should have great quality. So, with these few words, I am happy to introduce the speaker. Before I wind up, I found little math magic thing which I always do. 15 is sum of our 6 numbers, 6th triangular number, starting date today. 21 is sum of first 7 triangular numbers. So the beginning day is the 6th triangular number, the ending day is 7th triangular number. You add these two, you get 36, which is a triangular number as well as a square number. The 6 square. 6 square is square number as well as triangular number. And if you subtract them, you get 6, which is square root of this sum, 36. So, with these few words, and if you combine 15 and 21 together, you get 1521. That is also a perfect square. Incidentally, that is 39 square. So, with these few words, I wind up and invite the speaker to present that talk. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you can begin, ma'am. Welcome,
If
ma'am.
there are
Can you begin,
any
ma'am?
messages or anything that you need to convey, you can convey through my WhatsApp phone. It's right here. But I would like to begin with my sincere thanks. I thank the college administration, the secretary, and the coordinators for having given me this opportunity. We as teachers are bound to have very similar experiences. All of us, you and I, all of us here, similar in the sense in terms of teaching, in terms of being facilitators, in terms of offering, sharing knowledge. Then why is it that we are involving ourselves as a mutual exchange? Because we have two specialities, teachers, as teachers. The first one is we are knowledge magnets. We go to knowledge and knowledge comes to us, either way. Whether you are reading a bit of newspaper that's spread somewhere, you look at it, even if it's upside down, and read. And teachers especially, even if you're buying some shundal on the beach and it's packed in a newspaper, before you throw it away, you take a look at it. That's a quality. That's why I said we are knowledge magnets. The other one is we are extremely curious about each other's development and talents, skills, and we would like to share them. I'm not saying that I'm giving anything new to you, especially the faculty members here, but it's a view from my window. All of us look at the beach from various spots, and it looks different from each spot. And that is what I intend doing today, share my view from my window. And now, if this were a simple self-development program, I would talk about teachers and leave it at that. But this is an inclusive faculty development program of the agency of learning. It's a whole lot of agency of learning. If it were simple, one-on-one, I'm going to improve my personality or the delivery system of knowledge. All that I have to do is pick up a book from Dale Carnegie or Eric Berne. But if you leave me to my own devices, I would simply go to Padal Varigal and pick up Arumaname Aru from Andavan Kattalai. Look at the lyrics by heart and try to follow each Kattalai, 6 of them, and sure to go, you would be a success. That is the best of the genre of self-improvement program. But we are not doing that. We are looking at something where, a situation where we take in development and share it with people who are looking up at us as teachers. And there's one thing very fascinating about teachers. We have this sense of authority. As it is said, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, and Acharya Devo Bhava. The authority of being teachers, whether you're on stage or behind the screen or whatever, is something that our cultural tradition has accorded us with. So what we say sometimes, most of the time, is seen as being the gospel truth. And that is why we have to be extremely careful as facilitators. As Seymour Audrey Papert, American mathematician, computer scientist, pioneer of artificial intelligence, and co-inventor of the Logo programming language, says, "No one dislikes learning. If they do, this is not something born in them. It is something that was done to them. And we can create a situation where what is done can be undone." Look at that, look at that. In the sense, you are now in a position, the last in the citadel of knowledge. That is why I said the promise of the citadel. You are at the last stage where you still have the time to bring in love for learning, love for knowledge to people who come to you. There's this beautiful article in one of the books, Chicken Soup for the Soul, where a kindergarten teacher says, we learn all that we have to learn the first 5 years of our life in kindergarten. There's nothing more really. But I believe this is true of the bad things we imbibe and the good things too. So now is the time for you to perhaps change a few things in the students who are looking up to you for guidance. The last place where they are going to launch themselves into the world of competence and excellence. You can make a change, and only you can. Now, their success and happiness depends on you. Why? Because there are worthy motives in a teacher. What are the few motives? Could be quite a few, but the one that I thought was relevant here, the first one, you will empower students to tackle social problems. Possible, it is possible. You can never say that I'm too small a person to do that. In your own way, you can make a student be prepared for it. Next, compensate for a family's varied involvement level, because students come from various strata, and you know that the family may not support them. Even if they are supported, the levels of involvement might be different. So this is where your role becomes important. The next is give hope to the despairing. The ones who are at despair will look at you for any kind of a hope that you can offer. And then give initiative to the helpless. Having been there, having seen something, and having all the experience behind you as teachers, I'm sure you can point them to the right direction for any kind of a opportunity that they can or want to experience in life. Okay, now having said about the motives, having spoken about them, who are you addressing? There's a difference. You know, people who come to you, your students, they are one category when they are freshmen. But by the time they become seniors, by the time they are in their last semester, whether it is a 3-year course or a 4-year course or a 1-year course, there's a sea of a difference that you see in them from the first entry day to the graduation day. So here I'm talking about students who are fresh, who are walking through the portals for the first time to meet you. They are undeniably youngsters, young adults in whose prefrontal cortex, it's called the manager of emotions, that manager hasn't yet reached his or her maturity. So you have young adults there who are demanding. Let me make myself clear. I'm not looking at a generalized statement. I'm not saying what we are now looking at is common to all. We have a variety, the normal probability curve. So we have a variety of people, but we are mentioning the ones that need a change and a change from you. So that is why we are looking at people with these issues. So now they are demanding, impulsive, because they are looking for a quest. They are on a quest for identity. And then, without generalizing again, let us talk about the ones who cause you mild discomfort. Sometimes when just before you walk into a class, there is a sense of anxiety because you know that there are 2 or 3 of them who can rile you up, who have this fantastic ability of irritating you or making you losing your focus or your stability. Now why? Because they have these factors that are very dominant, and also because they are, I call them fans of commotion. They love commotion, they love noise, they also generate noise, many of them. They seek sensory overstimulation to cover up personal insecurities, anxiety, and most of all, a fear of being alone, a fear of being with themselves. Now, why? Because there are these cultural aspects that many of us have gone through, and those are the desire to be richer, to be more wealthy, affluent, to be happy always, to be respected and flattered, and to become popular. Many people will dismiss all this as saying, chinna chinna asai. அதுல ஒரு ஆசையும் சின்னதில்ல. It's all really, really big. So when they come to you with these issues, you have to make a few changes. But what is very troublesome is there are three sets of attitudes. We call them self-defeating mindsets. And the first among them is all or nothing thinking. If I don't pass this exam, I'm a failure. That's the first type. The second one is catastrophizing. If I don't pass this exam, my life is gone. The third is maladaptive perfectionism. If I just pass this exam, that's not good enough. I have to be the best. When they have this, I have to be the best, without matching their abilities and talents and hard work, and just say, I want to be the best. Some of them go through all ways. They go through what is fair, what is unfair, to cheat, rob, pilfer, to reach what they want, to get grades, to get marks. And some of them are even afraid of difficulty. They dismiss doing difficult things. Tell me a quick way, give me a shortcut to do these things. Let's cut, copy, paste. Let's not look at anything. Now, that is an absolute maladaptive perfectionism. You have to beat that. You have to help them to disregard that. How do we do this? How can we do this? There are so many things that will come as answers, as strategies, as recipes. I was just looking at the sessions, and I see that there is a lot of to do things, how to do something very well. I'm sure we will have these things overlapping, but it's expected because it's a holistic way of looking at answers. One factor will overlap the other. But here, at this point, I have 5 strategies. I have just selected 5 to help us through this inclusive development program. By going through this, we not only subject ourselves to a certain amount of change, but by practicing what we preach, which is the best way to get results from your audience or your students, that would mean that we have attained some amount of development. And what is a better person? Aren't we better? We are. But it is good to look at the optimistic way of saying, I want to be a better person than what I was yesterday. I am not worried about what I was last month, but I would like to be a better person from what I was yesterday. Now, the first one is, I call it the turn that person's roundabout. In the sense, roundabout mechanism of turning a person. Not easy. This is not a personality development program of 5 days or 6 days. You go through this and come back feeling like Bruce Lee after a Bruce Lee movie, and then you are so pumped up and you feel good. You follow this for 24 hours, 48 hours, and then out it goes through the window because you have gone back to your way of functioning, something that you were comfortable all along. Now, what makes it possible for us to imbibe new things? There's a saying, the teacher arrives when the student is ready. Now, this is not literal, definitely not literal, meaning the experience that you want to change yourself will happen, will be meaningful when you are ready to change. There are many of us who are constantly saying, why is she like this? Why is he like this? Don't they see what they are doing to themselves? Can't they change? They can, but they don't want to because they have been with that self for a long time and it works. It works magic for them. Let us talk about somebody who is considered short tempered. Now, why does it work? Because people around him know that he's going to lose his temper. They don't allow him to do that and quickly do things so that he doesn't lose his temper. So he has got what he wants. So this will upset him only when people stop caring for what is seen as his negative trait. So it's difficult to say that people will change, especially if they are happy with themselves. Not so much so about the people around them, but then that's how it is. So now, how can we do this? I'm sure making it sound very simple. It is not, but we have to know. We have to know where we can start. The first one is lower greed, aggressive greed. A little bit of ambition and greed to promote ourselves is good, definitely. But the aggressive kind for materialism, for consumer goods, for affluence, is something that exposes our inability to exercise self control. When you lose self control, you can't regulate your behavior. This is possible. It's just that you need a little amount of patience with yourself to understand, and patience also to tell people about this. Next is become generous with stating your admiration and awe of others and their abilities. When you admire someone for something openly without hiding it, you are sharing those abilities. You are appreciative of what they are doing. And it also means you are a good judge. You have judged that person to have something that's worthy, something that is worthy of being copied, perhaps. Imitation, nothing wrong. Imitation is simply not wrong. If I didn't imitate people around me, how would I learn language? So, imitation is how we learn. But when you fail to recognize somebody's qualities and keep it within yourself, you are making way for jealousy, for envy, and rivalry. So it's good to share. I remember reading one interview with a very famous actress who was just losing her what we call the first star position. Somebody asked her, aren't you afraid of losing your position to the others? She said, it's only when I compare myself with others and fall short of it, fall short of the expectation, I feel terrible about myself and I feel inadequate. But I never compare myself because I'm unique. My face, my talent, my background, what I can convey is unique. Nobody can replace me. Somebody else will become a superstar. I will retire, but I am I. I'm the best in terms of what I can be. Oscar Wilde also says, just be yourself. Nobody knows you better than that. Just be yourself. Every other role is taken by everybody else. So, admiration brings out the generosity in you. And the next one is a sense of awe. That is, you look at something, draw your breath, and says, God, it's so beautiful. Now, for instance, when you look at the Tanjavur temple, you walk into the temple and then look at the expanse. This was built a little more than 1,000 years ago. How did they achieve that? What happens to you when you look at it? A sense of awe in us gives us the right kind of mental set to admire, to tell ourselves that there are many things that we don't know, we have to learn, and there are fantastic people out there who can teach us what to do. And that is why, if you see all these historical buildings and whatever, whether it is a dargah or a church or a temple or whatever, they are massive, they are big. It's not because they had the space, because they knew that giving you a sense of awe gives you peace in the sense that you say, all right, I'm small, I'm insignificant, but I belong to the race, the human race that built this. If they could achieve that, I can also achieve something. It's some kind of a self motivational talk. So, be in awe makes you feel absolutely good, whether it is a sunrise or a sunset or a flower or a puppy, whatever, it gives you a sense of awe. And the next one, coming along with the same way, is gratitude. You must acknowledge gratitude. You don't have to text it to anybody. You don't have to send messages of thank you to all the people who have helped you. You don't have to make a public statement with banners. But tell yourself that I'm grateful for this person. I'm grateful for what I received. So that gives you a sense of humility, takes you exactly where you need to go to learn well. And learning, of course, is an act of joy. The next one, the second one, is sublimation. Sublimation is where you take up activities to help you. It allows you to grow your roots with your culture. It could be sports, it could be games, it could be cultural events, literary festivals, competitions, and quiz. Soren Kierkegaard said, I need the enchantment of creative work to help me forget life's mean pettiness. And I remember when the author, Sri Perumal Murugan, visited colleges at Manipal and St. Joseph's in Bangalore. That literary event was something that drew students who were not ready to attend college at that point. But then they did. They wanted to spend time with him, they wanted to hear him. And that sense of awe, admiration, and looking at their own cultural roots give them so much joy. And they had very nice things to say about the organizers, too. So that is what we mean by sublimation. And then next we go on to meaningful interactions. Now, this is after my heart because this is something I'm very, very fond of and sincere to. The first is wisdom. How do you get wisdom? Simple, very simple. If you have learned, if you're experienced, you put them all together. You synthesize them. When you synthesize knowledge and experience, it becomes wisdom. And young people are unable to accept values held in honor by the older generation unless they are in close contact with at least one of its representatives who commands their unrestricted respect and love. Meaning, young people will dismiss values, uh, ethics, and all these good things that support society unless somebody who is loved by them practices those things. Otherwise, it becomes just preaching, just talking about it. There was this very interesting experiment with monkeys that was conducted by a few psychologists a few years ago. They had two sets, the experimental and the control group. They took one group to a room and taught them how to operate a complex box, which could give them fruits and snacks and all that. And after making sure that the group learned how to do it, they had one group that was older and one group that was younger. It was a mix of older and younger monkeys. So they were brought back to the control room, and then they brought the box there and stuffed it with snacks and fruits and let the other monkeys figure it out. When the young monkeys who had learned how to open the box approached the box, the others, the ones who hadn't learned it, did not bother to watch them. They either didn't watch them or prevented them from reaching the boxes. Either could have happened. Whereas when the older ones approached the boxes and operated it to show how it could be opened, the others eagerly followed this, went to them and learned how to do it. They picked up the information from older monkeys and not the younger ones. Monkeys, all right. So we may not really compare it like that, but we know, we associate wisdom with people who have understood, who have learned, and who synthesize what we call discourse. Everything is available today on the internet, www. You have it there, the encyclopedia at your fingertips. But still, we miss, especially now, we miss our students. I'm sure they miss you too. Why? Because you offer a discourse, a synthesis of knowledge, and not do it yourself program that's available. So we do like knowledge when it comes from adults. So remember this when you deal with them. And then don't ever go down, lower your standard, raise your standard, and don't make a situation where you need to appease them. A very smart thing is students don't like appeasers. They like teachers, they prefer teachers who hold their own authority. And as I told you, Acharya Devo Bhava. Nor do they like anonymous authority. You can't say you have to do this because my principal is saying this or my HOD is saying this, you have to do this. No, just say, I want you to do this. There are reasons why you have to do this. Accept the authority, straight and simple. You will be definitely respected for that. And then you have practice mindfulness and pay attention to them. Mindfulness is being here, being now. You're thinking a bit about your past, you're worried about it. You're thinking about your future, you're anxious about it. So be here, be now. When a student approaches you, in a classroom, it's all right. But if a student approaches you for something, pay attention to what she or he has to say. Put down your phone. You have seen so many people. They are watching the phone, they're scrolling, and they're looking at you. Once in a while, make the wonderful noises of saying, huh, go on, tell me. And but you know that they are concentrating on what they are scrolling. Put the phone down. The phone is not going to scream back at you. Put it down upside, face it downward, and then give this person a minute or two. This person is not going to occupy your evening. So that is a definite act of generosity. And you have told the person that the person is serious. Gordon Rappaport, a psychologist, said that in a counseling situation or in a therapy situation, a person's improvement directly depends on the person, on the therapist or the counselor. Even in trouble, even if I'm absolutely traumatized and go to a counselor, with all the trauma in me, I can very clearly perceive that the counselor is listening to me, that the counselor is sincere with what she or he is doing. I can quickly recognize that. And that gives me the strength to improve upon myself. So if you convey your seriousness, your commitment to your student, that person is definitely going to remember you for the rest of his life. In a person's lifetime, right from primary and secondary and all this, you might remember about 100 teachers. Maybe that's a big number. Lesser than that, perhaps, you may remember teachers. But how many of them would you really say that person is something? When do you do that? You have about 3 or 4, right? You want to go back to them, you want to talk to them, and you want to wish them. It doesn't matter how old you are, you want to do this because you know at some point they have turned you around. They have given you what you consider to be extremely valuable. So that is what we mean by saying be generous with your time, and then admit your limitations, and be responsible for your speech and action. Meaning, limitations meaning, if you don't know a particular answer, say you don't know. It's perfectly all right. And some of them sometimes push you just to check if you know. Some time ago, I opened a classroom discourse with the statement saying that all families are similar when they are happy. It's only when they are unhappy, families become dissimilar. And I said this was given by so and so in such and such a book. There was the student sitting there. She quickly put her head down, and for a minute there was a furious kind of a look on her face. And then she looked up with a bright smile. And I asked her, "Oh, I was right. So that's the book you were looking for? You got the quotation?" And then she smiled very sheepishly. She just wanted to check if I was right. Now, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong at all. As I told you, you are a synthesizer. If you make an error, if you make a mistake, so be it. It doesn't matter. It's out of errors and mistakes we learn. We call it experience, of course, but then we learn. There's no harm in saying, I don't know. I will look it up. Or if you know still, if this is a situation where you know the answer, share it with us. We would love that. Now, this kind of an open responsibility, that certain sweet level of vulnerability in you as a teacher, as a learner, is extremely endearing in the learning agency. Your students will learn to trust you, and then be warned and warn your students that genuine acts of manners and etiquette, either from you or from them, should never ever be misunderstood as a sign of personal commitment. Just because a student gives you a card or calls you and wishes you on a birthday or on a festival, please don't think that the person has a special reason to do so. No, there are many of them who would love to offer these things. There is this 5, special ways of giving love to a committed person. I'm not looking at something very narrow as a relationship. I'm looking at something as an emotion. You could talk to them, you could text them, you could spend some time with them, or you could give them gifts, or you could wish them. You can say nice things. You can even admire them and give them compliments. So students also do this. They wish you, they call you, they give you cards. Perhaps if it is in their culture, they could even bring flowers or bouquets. Now, this should never ever be misunderstood. And this reflects that there is bonding between you and your student. And then tackle feelings. If you are upset with people, tackle that immediately. Don't let it fester. Don't let it be a part of the kind of steam in your system. Because when you do this, it escapes as sarcasm, it escapes as indirect verbals. I remember two friends had some kind of a difference between them. They didn't want to sort it out. This big elephant of a difference, they just put it under a carpet and believed that they had nothing. And when they were in the presence of others, one person comes and takes a pen out of his pocket and says, "Look at this pen. Isn't it beautiful? Only privileged, important people have this pen." And he passed it on. There were some who picked it up and said, "Yes, it's very nice, it's beautiful." When it came to this friend who had issues with him, he said, "Oh, then why do you have it?" Oh, good Lord. All hell broke loose. And the others who were neither here nor there, the neutral fellows, had to run out of the room because the situation came to blows. This would have never happened if they had sorted out their differences. So, sarcasm and those negative statements better be cut at the nip. And then the next is work on a resilience curriculum. I have a time factor. I will have to give in the microphone to the next person. So here goes the last two. Work on a resilience curriculum. That is, we have eustress, stress, and distress. Stress, when it is too much, leads to distress. You can bring it down to your students. How do we do it? First of all, bring down the unnecessary component in a curriculum, because there are some things that will have to be discussed. There are some things that can be simply picked off the library books. So cut down on the curriculum, make a very clear demarcation about what needs to be discussed and what needs to be studied. And then be fair with the pass and fail grading, and definite class hours. Do not exceed the class hours, or do not bring it forward, postpone without their information and cause problem. And also build support with your management to give them some kind of a secure accommodation if they need, and fee sponsorship or scholarship or whatever. And then expose them to mental health literacy, meaning you learn about yourself, what is called the help seeking behavior. It's perfectly normal to aspire for well being, but you have to ask. There are many times where you have to reach out to people and ask, saying that you are in a difficult situation and you need help. So it's a mental health program. And finally, the last one, preparation for life. Unexpected occurrences are the norm. It's the normal thing. Everything is unexpected. You can't even be sure about your morning cup of coffee if the milkman doesn't supply milk. So anything can happen, but you just have to use your skills, your talents, and preparedness for looking at problems. If we didn't have the ability to solve problems, we wouldn't have intelligence. It is required to solve problems. Like a fairy tale, if you say, be happy forever, why do you need intelligence? You just don't. So we have intelligence, keep it sharp, keep it ready to look at things that are unexpected. And then be familiar with the repercussions of being successful, wealthy, and famous. It's all wonderful, but once you reach success or wealth or famous, you lose out on a component which is called privacy. Now, that is something every person who looks for these things has to know. It's a trade off. If you get that, you lose this. And it also turns you around. And one thing that comes with it is this money factor. Most of us, all of us, do like money, but most of us are afraid of it. And that is why we fall to levels where we cannot recover. That has to be learned. And then to value amateurism. One has to be an amateur all the time. There's no need to be a professional, because an amateur is a person who invests care and affection in what he or she likes. And when you continue this as a habit, you reach a position where you are good with the advancement. There is the quote here: we don't have to engage in grand heroic actions to participate in the process of change. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. This is a statement given by Howard Zinn, American historian, philosopher, socialist, a socialist thinker from Boston University. He fought during the war and was a part of the aeroplanes that bombed a few places. But then, after coming back from that, he took a degree in history and became a historian. Now, that is the kind of experience he went through, saying that how I regret that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have the time. Nobody told me. I was using this perhaps as an excuse, but that was the situation. You, as a teacher, you still have time. Before your students graduate and go away, please be with them and go through this inclusive development. That way, you will be a promising citadel that gives the world, the larger world, a great bunch of people who love and who celebrate life. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Vanakkam.
Thank you, ma'am. I express my sincere gratitude to the resource person, Dr. Mala Sridharan, Associate Professor, Head, Department of Psychology, NMRP. I express my sincere gratitude to the resource person, Dr. Mala Sridharan, to be a resource person and share us on the topic Department of Psychology, promising strategy. It is an interesting session. It is really an interesting session, ma'am. And we came to know about how to imbibe new things and how to have self control. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, ma'am. Thank you. Welcome, ma'am. I take it a great pleasure and privilege in welcoming a resource person for this session, Dr. Kantimati, Associate Professor, Department of English, SDNB Vaishnav College, Chennai, to share us on the topic, most important and real topic, online teaching and learning managing stress. We extend a very warm welcome to you, madam. To her credit, she has published many research articles in national and international journals. Her specialization is in the area of socio-linguistic English language teaching. She has authored books. Without taking much time, I hand over the session to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Just clarify if my presentation is visible. I'll start just.
Okay,
Just a second. Ma'am, can you please clarify whether the screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am. Full screen, ma'am. Okay. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. At the outset, I must congratulate the Department of Mathematics for this virtual FDP on inclusive development, and also the initiative taken by the principal and management, and extending all support to the department to conduct such a program where there is all-round development for the teachers. And my special thanks to Professor Murli for inviting me to be a part of this event, and all appreciation to Professor Mala for that wonderful Shubharam. I think she has set the stage, and things will flow smoothly. So yes, since my topic is online teaching, learning, and managing stress or distress, however we take it, this COVID situation has changed our lifestyle, routine, and even our education system. So it's a challenging time that we are pushed into, and the academic fraternity is under unsurmountable pressure, which is leading to stress, anxiety, and depression. So the teachers and students have been in a completely new situation, which they never anticipated, the world never anticipated. And we have also started living in this new normal lifestyle. Again, an environment which we have to familiarize ourselves with. Isolation, physical distancing has been part of this pandemic and post-pandemic period. And this has, in some or the other way, affected the education institutions. And we see a lot of change in the teaching culture. Though it was a little tough challenge initially, but still we have managed, teachers have managed. And the role of teacher is changing day by day, and it has also changed during this pandemic and in the post-pandemic period. We just cannot say whether the pandemic is still over, still around, and in this new times that we are, there's a lot of change. From conventional teaching, we have shifted to a different method of teaching. So the teacher is looked up to not only as facilitator, but has multiple roles to play. She is an educator, a co-learner, a mentor, online tutor, life skills trainer, and also virus warrior. So when students come to campus, we need to create awareness about the lurking virus fear. And so we as teachers, we have to play multiple roles. And we see that with changing times, the classroom culture has also changed. Where at one point of time, classrooms or the colleges, the education institutions did not allow cell phones into the campus. Now we see a complete change where classrooms happen in the cell phones. And they are mandatory.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Please give hide screen.
Should I? Okay. Is that
Thank
fine?
you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so change is inevitable, and we have seen that there is a lot of change that has come into the educational institutions. So as I was saying, the cell phones which were banned have now become an integral part of a student's life. And there's a lot of change because teacher movement is restricted. Eye contact is not, we cannot establish eye contact. The physical space has changed. Everything around us, in fact, controlling the children, trying to maintain discipline, all that has also changed. In the campus culture, we see there's a lot of change in the dynamics. The vibrant campus atmosphere is not around. We have seen that there was no farewell party for the 2020 graduates. They were eagerly waiting for it, but that could not happen. The fresh batch of 2020, the newly admitted batch, they could not experience campus life for a very long time. There was no face-to-face interaction. The freshers party did not happen. Talent shows were taking place online. These also give some kind of a different kind of an atmosphere that the students had never thought of or the teachers had never planned for. There is change in lifestyle. Working hours have changed. We are working longer and we are working more. Facilities in the labs have become the students couldn't access because of the work from home that was introduced, and a very sedentary kind of a lifestyle, quite inactive, where there's not much of a movement. So we were all glued to our chairs. Excessive screen time and being connected through messages or WhatsApp calls. We were always connected 24/7. And the blurring space of professional and personal, because classroom was shifted to house, the home space became the classroom. So many such changes have come in our lifestyle. The learning atmosphere has also changed for students. They hardly get time for peer interaction because nothing like sitting in a class and talking to your friends. This is something missing from them. Lunch hour conversations, meeting in the corridors, sharing food, interacting with teachers, kind of cooperative learning that used to happen in the libraries. The environment, the learning environment has completely changed. So this batch of students were missing campus fun. The learners are missing campus fun. And teachers also had no clue of how to handle this, because every student is a different individual. Their type of learning is different. Some prefer visual mode, some prefer auditory mode. So all these were some of the drawbacks of this pandemic. And once this online teaching started, new techniques came in. Teachers had to familiarize themselves with unfamiliar tools. There's always a lot of concern about the effectiveness of this kind of teaching learning experience. There is some kind of a peer pressure. Performance in online class, how is it? Because we are all trained or we're all familiar, we have experience of handling a traditional classroom where we see students sitting right in front of us. But this is something completely a different scenario. E-resources were available in plenty, but then the students are confused and the teachers have to think what new to speak to the students. Again, the examinations were a big confusion. How to conduct, postponing, putting a lot of stress on the children. And this online teaching also brought in to light the digital gap. Were all the students able to access? Did this really reach the villages? How were students able to cope up with this? For students also, it was a bit stressful. There's not much of interaction happening in these online classes. Some of them feel it's boring and they sleep off. Whether some learning is happening or not, it's a big question, because when the phone is in hand, a lot of other events happen simultaneously. Children tend to chat or start playing games. Connectivity issues were another problem faced by many in this online teaching, online learning. The physical space is also one big constraint that many of them complained of. In some families where there's single room, there will be noise at home. The mother will be in the kitchen cooking. Students cannot speak, cannot ask questions because they feel this noise will be disturbing the teachers. So all these were a matter of concern. And we were thrown into a situation where the teachers did not have adequate training to handle online classes, online assignments, online exams. Another big issue was this internet connectivity, stability, reach. The device, many could not afford to buy a phone immediately because the whole family, or it would be like a family sharing the device. And the environment, the home environment of the students also mattered a lot when this online teaching learning began. Here I have a short video. I hope this plays. Madam, please tell me if it doesn't play. Yes, so the video was talking about, for those who are from different states, from other states, and who do not follow Tamil, every subject is to be done in a particular way. Every aspect of a lesson has to be dealt with in a particular way. But of late, every subject is to be done in a particular way.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Every aspect of a lesson has to be dealt with in a particular way. But of late, yes, but of late, what we have seen is we all have to follow just one method, that is PowerPoint. Display, put pictures, lecture plus PowerPoint. So this was something not an effective way of conveying or effective way of teaching that particular aspect of particular lesson. And with reopening also, there was a lot of disturbances in the lives of children and the teachers. Workload problems, the different roles that teachers have to take care of, duties, administrative tasks, research, organizing seminars or webinars, the size of the class, that was the concern of UGC guidelines, creating stress-free campuses, how are we to do that, provide online study material and also offline classes, access to e-resources to all the students, whether they come to college or not, whether they come to the education institutions or not. It was made mandatory that counselors are around, and a stress-free learning atmosphere is provided to the students. Though there is a lot of breakthrough in artificial intelligence, a lot of apps developed, gadgets coming in various forms, a lot of inventions happening. This is an age of anxiety. This is an age of stress, apart from being an age of achievement. So having understood the online teaching learning scenario, let's see how this stress is bothering us. And how are we going to come out of this stressful situation? So a simple understanding of stress, it's a feeling of emotional, physical tension, frustration, anger, nervousness, body's reaction to a challenge or a demand, and disruption psychological and physical functioning. So some or the other way, it hampers our normal functioning. If you say stress is a problem, not exactly. Normal, it is quite normal that a person has stress, and all of us have stress or of some or the other form, because without stress, we would be considered dead. And stress differs from person to person. Some get perturbed easily, some do not take anything too seriously, and they handle things in a very different way. But only thing is that we have to maintain a balance. We have to strike a balance. Of course, stress, as I said, is quite normal. Some of us take stress in a very positive way, and that's called eustress. This is something that motivates us, drives us, and helps us improve. Whereas distress is negative. That's what we shouldn't have. And that drains us of our energy. It gives us sleepless nights. So we have to be very careful. Yes. How are we going to take it? How are we going to take the stress that comes to us? Is it going to be a motivator for us? Is it going to be a stimulator? Is it going to help us perform better? Or is it going to make us inefficient? Do we have the ability to manage it? Or will we be inefficient in managing it? So all these are something that make stress positive or negative, makes us normal or abnormal. Here I have a list of studies that I just went through, and it talks about very bothering survey reports. Stress is one of the important risk factors. It happens because of mental overload, time pressure, or lack of schedule and emotional exhaustion. And nearly 9 in 10 Indians suffer from stress. Quite a worrisome number. And 65% Indian youngsters show early signs of depression. This is affecting our younger generation. And India is leading the world in teenage depression. Since we are going to handle students, young adults, we need to help them to come out of the stress. And there is a lot of disruptive and stressful atmosphere for the Indian academic fraternity, either because of this stress and shift in online classes, the virus around, and job uncertainties for the ad hoc teachers or for the temporary teachers. It is a big financial burden. Stress is also because of financial burden that either the student's family or the teacher's family is going through. And we have to focus a lot on wellness and mental health. Women, again, women mentors, women teachers, their stress level is also something that is to be discussed here. There is a bit of mental overload and difficulties with work-life balance, because for some time before the colleges or the schools started reopening, they had to work from home. So the domestic and workplace, the boundaries did not, or somehow they efficiently managed. They had to cope up with family and also manage class. but they were able to handle the pressure of both the places like Jhansi Rani with grit and grace. Women were able to manage online education and the home front also. So as teachers or as students, some of the stressors, those that give us stress, probable stressors for teachers, new methods of teaching. Yeah, every now and then there is a new app that comes in and adds a little more value or a little more convenience or comfort to the teaching experience. So every now and then we have to familiarize ourselves with that, familiarize with tools, new tools that we can use in our class. Of course, PowerPoint, many of us are best, familiar with, but other than that, there are new tools every day. We have to be careful and cautious because the family of the student could be listening or interrupting the classes. Sometimes we have difficult children to handle in the online class. You never know how they respond or they don't respond. There's quite uncertainty in the of the internet connections. So these could be some of the stressors, and we have to juggle between two modes of teaching, the online as well as the offline. So these are some of the stressors, and those who have taken up research at this time, there could have been a little bit of stress because there would have been an interruption in their research. Yeah, I think this, if stress has to be effectively handled, it can be done with change in attitude. If they think that they are positive stress, we will grow and perform. And I'm sure we have been doing this. Yeah, so this has been an age of technology, at the same time age of stress. But let us also learn to manage. So we have to be very cautious that we don't lose control and find situations or instances where we can laugh it out. So maybe the students can be asked to say something that just that relieves the stress of the whole the class online situation. Students sometimes give funny answers, so let us also try giving some funny questions so that there's a little lighter vein in which the class goes. Teachers can make themselves visible instead of the whole class being mute and invisible. Once in a while, the teachers can ask the students to make themselves visible. The teacher also can make themselves visible. We are on the road to recovery. So simple changes, possible changes can bring a lot of positive, stimulating stress. Not the negative stress, but the eustress. And maybe for every little issue, we need not be complaining. Things can be handled. Things will fall in place properly. Look for positive in the situation. So those who had some kind of a disruption in PhD, maybe this time could have been utilized to complete their research, or we had a lot of time to spend with our family. Take inspiration from peers. Sometimes students teach you so many things. They know a lot of use of gadgets and apps. So take inspiration from them. There's nothing wrong in asking the students to teach you. Managing time as much as possible. Once the screen time is over, keep the phone away and spend time with books or other activities. Sleep is very important because of late there is different pattern of sleep. and that could lead to distress. This will decrease the body's immunity, and also there are chances of other kinds of problems. So as much as possible, spend time to sleep. Go for some, plan a laughter therapy. Maybe once in a while you can have a session on laughter therapy. Make the students laugh. Ask the students to say a few jokes so that the whole class can laugh it out loudly. Take up some hobby. During this pandemic lockdown, many started gardening. So there's a lot of interest in gardening, bird watching. Try one of these hobbies to keep yourselves engaged so that the cell phones don't bother you. Little bit of breathing exercise like pranayam, meditation, prayers. These are some of the stress busters and boosters. They boost they boost your energy. They give you some kind of a positive energy. And teachers, as teachers, we have always been resilient. We have been quick in adapting. We are quick learners, and we can tackle any situation. So we have been quite adaptable. This lockdown period has taught us, has shown the world that we quickly adapt. And we have to be very empathetic and sympathetic towards our fellow beings, our students, physically away, but we should be supporting and providing them emotional strength. And as we don't know what is the kind of situation that the students are going through, so we need to practice social solidarity, though we have physical distancing. A bit of exercise, because too much of use of our neck, eyes, fingers, and backbone, all these issues are slowly cropping up because of the sedentary lifestyle that we have got into. So maybe some small exercise that can be done with the help of the physical director of the school or college. Breathing, eating, body mindfulness. Professor Mala has told us muscle relaxation techniques, some kind of a natural therapy, visit to the beach or a park. Writing down, another stress reliever. Whenever you feel stressed, and instead of relieving it out or venting it out in a way that will disturb others, write down. I think that would help a lot. Yeah, whenever you are stressed, treat yourself. Give a lot of time for yourself. Me time is very important. You have to nurture yourself. Do a self-analysis. Plan, think what you've done. How far are you able to stretch yourselves? Pamper yourself. That's very important. If you feel too stressed, look at some funny pictures. There are a lot of internet videos or some funny incident that comes to your mind. Just recall that and start laughing or smile. I think that will make a big difference. That will bring out all the stress, all the negative stress that is there. Yeah, whenever you are feeling stressed, know why you are stressed. Recognize the areas that are giving you stress, negative stress. If it is positive and if it's a stimulator, then it is good. It makes you work better. It makes you a better person. And if you feel you are overloaded with some additional projects, say no. Say that strong no. Because if you feel that's going to give you some kind of a stress, leave it out. Devise a strategy, plan. This is going to be my work time. This is going to be my family time. Devise your strategy. And as the mantra is going around, relax and slow down. So I think there's no harm in slowing down. We can run later. And The pandemic has taught us to slow down. If we cannot do certain things in a faster pace, let us slowly do it and keep pace and do our best and give a stress-free life for ourselves and for our students. Of course, we cannot be perfect. We may not be perfect in all that we learn, in all that we do, but we can try and update ourselves to the possible extent without negatively stressing ourselves, because learning is like rowing upstream. If we don't advance, we might drop back. So we just have to chisel ourselves and evolve into good teachers and provide a happy learning experience for our students. Thank you, and happy stress-free teaching learning experience to all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you and happy.
Thank you, ma'am. I express my sincere gratitude to the resource person, Dr. Kantimati, Associate Professor, SDNB Vaishnav College, to be a resource person and share us on the topic, online teaching, learning, managing stress. Really, it is an interesting session, ma'am. You have rightly pointed out the disadvantage of online teaching and the stress faced by the student community and how to overcome the stress. Thank you for sharing your experience, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll meet in tomorrow's session. So tomorrow in session 1, we have Tupil Venkatesh, a lead man of India, Professor Emeritus, Department of Biochemistry and Biophysics. Thank you all.